Today I'm going to talk about the World Health Organization's recommendation that nobody use artificial sweeteners, even the quote-unquote healthy ones. This week the World Health Organization recommended against the use of all artificial sweeteners, including the quote-unquote healthy kind. This was based on Cleveland Clinic's recent study of erythritol, which I covered in an earlier video. It includes other chemical sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose and saccharin, and it probably includes stevia. I don't know about their intentions on that herb. I covered that in my last video on erythritol as well, because a lot of manufacturers, to put it in little packets and have it somewhat equivalent to real sugar, have diluted the stevia with other simple sugars like erythritol. So today I wanted to cover just a couple of things really quickly. There is some literature out there that says that even stevia, and in fact all artificial sweeteners or low-calorie sweeteners, are unhealthy and make you gain weight. And you can, I don't know if Dr. Blaylock covered that in his book on excitotoxins, but you can read about that in, for example, Dr. Batmanghelidj's book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. And he's the author of The Water Cure, a very famous physician who started in Iran and has quite an incredible backstory, which he writes about in the introduction to his book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. But he basically explained it like this: your brain tastes something sweet, and it thinks that you're writing a check for some glucose, because the brain runs on glucose. I forget the exact figure, it might be like a teaspoon's worth of glucose an hour or something like that. Your brain really needs a lot of glucose to function correctly. And when you drink something that's very sweet, he says your brain actually goes so far as starts calculating how much glucose or natural sugar it's going to get. And then when the check bounces, when that doesn't happen, basically it sends out all these hunger signals. And they're hunger signals that are hard to ignore. It's almost like in panic mode. It's like, where are my calories? I was expecting some sugar here. That's one of the problems people have with going on low-carb diets or no-sugar diets and things like this, is that your body would have to extract what sugar it could and take what was left and convert that into sugar that your brain could use. So a lot of people have trouble following those diets, and that's a part of the reason why. I mean, a diet that you can't follow isn't the diet that works. There is some sugar in vegetables, and you'd be able to get some that way. A healthy way of getting it is through fruit. There was a recent study about refined sugar versus whole foods sugar, as in contained in natural fruits and vegetables, where you get the other vitamins and minerals along with it, and a structure that includes a lot of fiber. I might get into that in another video, but in essence, I think it says what everybody can guess, that the refined sugars are worse and raise your blood sugar in a worse way. If your body is demanding sugar after you eat something sweet, it's not going to like things like stevia very well. So I think that Dr. Batmanghelidj would be against stevia as well. This I found at a health food store. I have never seen one of these before in a nursery or a health food store. This is a little seedling of stevia. And I'm not even sure how to take care of it. That's why it's not quite planted in the garden yet. It's one of the last ones I haven't planted. And I've never even tasted a real stevia leaf. I think I've put enough water on this thing that's rinsed off, so I'm going to tear off a little piece of leaf. Trying it for the first time here. I've never tried real stevia before. That tastes good. That isn't like way too sweet like the dried herb. The natural kind here is just right. It's very sweet. I mean, for a leaf, this is very, very sweet. Wonder what happened if you drop a couple of these leaves in your coffee basket while you're brewing coffee. Very interesting. This would be nice in a summer drink to sweeten it instead of sugar. Oh my, yeah, it's kind of like, you know how mint is sweet and aromatic somewhat. I guess I call it aromatic, but it has that little bite to it in the pleasant way. This has the same thing. I mean, it's not as aromatic as mint, but it has that yep, very pleasant sweetness. Very sweet. It's like, tastes kind of like powdered sugar. Just this one little piece of leaf. Wow, that is good. Okay, well anyway, I'd imagine if you put something like that in your drink, you know, that still would irritate the brain that it isn't sugar, but at the same time, I think it would get used to the fact that when it tastes the substances that come along with this, that it is low calorie. One way I think you could fight that would be if you have a meal that you normally have that contains sugar. And I'm not saying refined sugar, you know, I mean things like blueberries, watermelon, whatever you like to eat for fruits. But however your brain gets its sugar, I think if you were to drink your coffee with that, that would give your brain at least some sugar along with the sweetness. And, you know, this is just my own suggestion for people to try and see if it works. But I think that might help so that the brain wouldn't get so demanding for sugar after stevia or an unhealthy sweetener is used, and it doesn't get the calories. Or I think that might satisfy the brain's craving for sugar after it tastes something sweet that doesn't have any calories and has no sugar. The other option is something that my father mentioned and actually followed in his life. He was drafted in the Korean War despite being in college at the time, and ended up playing in the Army band. Just long story, but anyway, he didn't have to serve in combat. But he said when you're in the Army, it isn't guaranteed that you're going to have all the niceties like cream and sugar. I mean, if you get to the coffee and they're out, you know, you're just not getting any. And so he trained himself to like it black. And that's another option. I actually like my tea black. I actually had somebody from England fix it once the way that they do it, with the milk and the sugar, and it actually tasted really good. I never thought that tea could taste good with milk in it. But it does. It can. I'd imagine you could probably do the same thing for coffee if you like coffee, or you could switch to tea or green tea or whatever caffeinated beverage if you need the caffeine. I once told a coworker that I was way too mellow to hold employment without caffeine. And I think there's a lot of people in the same boat. Obviously, if you have blood sugar issues, that's something you'll have to figure out for yourself. Whether or not you can go without a sweetener, whether you can find a sweetener that's low calorie but not necessarily no sugar. Some people claim that honey or agave nectar or maple syrup work better for them. And other people just, you know, go black. As always, I love hearing about people's stories, so if you want to share yours in the comments section, feel free. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this, and so that I can reach more people on YouTube. I'm not sure whether any of the YouTube videos featuring Dr. Batmanghelidj covered artificial sweeteners, but I will link to at least one of his videos in the description below. He was a good speaker, and I think he covers a lot of topics that people are interested in. And thanks for watching.